Oh yes, greetings Rome, and welcome on another exciting episode of The Petros Khoza Show. Petros Khoza. Today Kirotile Monna Moholo and Tsholo Mohapi. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thanks, and yourself?
Good to see you, man.
I'm good.
Yeah, and maybe to those who don't know, this guy is my colleague. We work together.
Well, man, I'm glad for inviting me. I think our viewers will learn something, one or two things from our conversation.
Exactly.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So today again, we'll be talking about the condition of albinism, because Tsholo is living with albinism, and in South Africa, September is a month that is dedicated for albinism awareness.
Correct.
Yeah. Tsholo, maybe tell people who are you and what do you do?
Okay, Tsholo Mohapi.
Yeah.
Many people know me as Desmond.
Sure.
I was born and bred from a Free State, in the Eastern Free State. So I came to Joburg many years ago for green pastures and also to further my studies. So I've studied journalism and media studies. I'm a qualified journalist and also happen to work for Daveytontv, as you said in your introduction.
Yes. Thank you so much. And this really again, maybe educate us. What is albinism condition?
So when we talk about albinism, we're talking about albinism. It's a genetic disorder that affects the eyesight and the pigmentation, the skin, due to a lack of pigmentation. So others usually call it a melamine. So a melamine and pigmentation is the same thing. So there's no difference. So if I have to explain it to someone who doesn't know or who doesn't understand what do I mean by pigmentation, for example, if you look at your skin, you are a light brown. So with us people living with albinism, we are light, it's lighter. So that's what the pigmentation means, or the melamine. Yes. So most people often become confused, because sometimes they even ask themselves, how is it a person with albinism? How is that person even conceived? So let me educate them. To have an albinism, it means there was someone within your family, maybe your grandparents had an albinism. So that's why you are living with an albinism, or that's why you have albinism. So sometimes for myself, if it happens that I date someone who doesn't have an albinism, so that means my child won't have an albinism. So that's how it works. But if you get intimate with someone with albinism, or you have a family with maybe your girlfriend has albinism, the same as the guy, so definitely for sure the child will be conceived with albinism. So that's the difference. That's how it works. Because most people say okay, you are living with albinism, so it means all your children, your generation will have albinism. No, it doesn't work like that. So unless my partner is living with albinism, then definitely for sure our children will have albinism.
Okay, so unalingwana?
Yes, I do have a child.
So is your child living with albinism?
No, he's not living with an albinism. Why? Because his mother is not living with an albinism.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So is there any possibility or how in the long run Abelingwana or who lives with albinism?
Yes, that's true. It's possible. Why? Because the father is living with an albinism. So it's within the family. Remember what I said? He said it's a genetic disorder. Sure.
Okay, and why in South Africa are we celebrating the Albinism Awareness in September?
The reason why we're celebrating Albinism Month in September is to educate, is to create awareness in our communities, because there's still misconceptions and misunderstanding when it comes to albinism. What is an albinism? Which led to people making, conclusions without having the necessary information. So that's why we celebrate it.
There's nothing wrong with living with an albinism, just a genetic disorder. What are the challenges and myths, that are labeled concerning people living with albinism?
As I previously said, that there's a what you call the confusion amongst our community when it comes to people with albinism. So others will say, okay, your child has an albinism because of what? Because maybe they regard it as a curse. Maybe the parents have done something wrong in their past. So it's perceived as sort of a punishment. That's why the child is born with albinism. So others believe that people with albinism, when you get their parts, if you kill them, then you can use their parts to get rich. Unfortunately, it still happens, especially in African countries. Fortunately enough, it doesn't happen here in South Africa. So those are some of the myths and perceptions that people have when it comes to albinism condition. So that's why we celebrate it, so we can educate them, because the community that is educated and empowered makes informed decisions. Yes.
So maybe is there any organizations that people can get help from? Because maybe I get a child who lives with albinism, I'm scared, I can't accept them. Is there any help that is available?
Yes, there's two organizations that are popular. The first one is ASA.
Okay.
So we call it Albinism Society of South Africa.
Okay.
And we also have the Department of Health. So those two departments work together.
Sure.
So some of their mandates is to educate people about albinism and is to make sure that they access the best health service they can get. Why? Because remember, people with albinism needs to see the doctors maybe twice a year. So the Department of Health, together with the ASA, make sure that they set the appointments and also provide the necessary support in terms of sanitary pads, maybe for children who comes from disadvantaged communities, and also make sure they educate people. Then they offer the products like the sunscreens, yes, to those who can't buy it, because as you know, like our situation here in South Africa, most people are not working, so they can't afford such products because they are very expensive. So that's why we have the Albinism Society of South Africa together with the Department of Health. That's what they do.
And also your condition, I know you have worked in other companies,
Yes.
and at school. How were people treating you? Is there maybe a space where you've ever felt like I'm not needed here?
Well, fortunate enough for me, I went to what you call this, a boarding school from a young age. So I've been in boarding school from like grade R up to grade 12. So when it comes to like boarding school, if a child is maybe grows in boarding school, the first thing they teach you about the albinism, so you can be able to accept yourself.
Okay.
So that if someone says something bad about you outside, then you don't take it very personal, because you've been taught about it since from the young age. So you grow up knowing what is an albinism and how do you take care of yourself. So there'll still be kids out there when when you walk down the street and they'll call you names. But if you have been taught about the condition from the young age, then those things, whatever they say, won't impact you in any way. Yeah. So I was very fortunate that I went to a boarding school. I grew them. But there's still some kids out there who doesn't even know what's albinism. Even their parents, they don't even understand the condition. So they mock those kids, they lose self-confidence, they don't know what to do. So the reason why we have Albinism Society of South Africa, one of their mandates is to teach the parents, especially those with kids with albinism, so they can understand already this is what we mean when we talk about albinism, this is what you need to do, this is how to look after a child with albinism, this is the information that you need. Then as a parent, once you equip with this information, then you'll be able to impart it to your child, then your child will grow as a very confident man or a woman. Yes.
Lalela mzali lapha ekhaya. Uma ngabe nawo nabantwana abancane njengami nginabo endlini, these 5, 6, 7, 8, ngesinye isikhathi abantwana ngoba i-condition abayazi, they tend to mock it or abanye bayesabe. I remember one time when I brought Juna here at work the last time, said, yo, Daddy, look, bhuti ngiyamthanda muhle, so Konhlungu always say, Daddy, lo bhuti omuhle usebenza nani? And well, coming with him, I was scared because I didn't know how he was going to react. And even now, I haven't sat down and explained albinism and all of it, because I feel like anyway, it seems like he understands it. But I can imagine Jorge, go back to Mwabang, who doesn't know and understand,
Yeah, and I think some people say all those bad things because they don't have enough information.
Exactly.
They don't know what. So it's even up to us as people living with albinism to sit them down and tell them about those things. Because if you put the person, you sit them down, then you tell them about the condition, then they'll be like, I didn't know. Next time, I wish I knew this thing earlier on. So now at least very open to talk about it. So
awesome.
People will learn a lot.
Maybe if there's someone at home who wanna, maybe ask you more questions about it, and maybe someone is struggling from accepting themselves living with albinism, they can maybe contact you to just ask for that kind of help.
Yes, definitely. On Facebook, I'm Tsholo Mohapi, also known as Billy. Then they can always contact me on my WhatsApp number. It's 076 8409 305.
Awesome. Thank you so much for making time today, and we appreciate you here at work, and we appreciate you coming through and talking to people. Ngathemba ukuthi ke usuzwile ufundile. Please share this content with everyone you know. Mhlambe ke ukhona omunye oyidingayo ongaphili nealbinism but oyidingayo ukuthi ayibone ngokuba asazi ukuthi impilo isizaphi. Mhlambe the next person oza nomntwana ozophila nealbinism okanye mhlambe wakini uyoganwa or agane umuntu ophila with albinism. There's nothing wrong with them. It's not a sickness. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. Imvelo eyithathe a U10. We love you and may the good Lord bless you.
That's why I always say to most people, albinism, it's a condition. It's not incapability or inability.
Yeah.
So you can do anything.
Sure.
Like any person.
Sure.
So it doesn't limit you. You just function like everyone else. Yes.
You know, a few weeks ago, I met Uba Simlange, we were attending some awards, and he said, you know, living with a disability, you know, it's something else. I am only blind, but if someone walks me to a doctor, the doctor will ask the person accompanying me. And the thing is, I am only blind, and it's not even painful. I'm just like that, you know. I'm living with this condition, not that I'm unable to hear or say, you know. So same to albinism, it's a condition, not a sickness and not a disability.
And a condition that can also be managed. And one thing you see people like, I'm glad that you mentioned Babsim Lange, he can't see but he can do anything, and it's quite brilliant.
Exactly, big time.
It's quite brilliant.
Yeah.
So don't just look down on yourself, have confidence, show up, and move on with life.
Awesome. Show up and move on. We love you.